Order, it's 5:01. All right, calling to order the regular meeting of the Police Commission on Monday, January 8th. Let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tanisha, would you be so kind as to read our correspondence for us?
Sure. Police Commission, January 8th, 2024, summary of letters. Received from resident regarding the Simsbury Police Department. This resident wanted to thank the police department for all that they do. It truly takes a special person to do what you do. As citizens, we're not truly aware of all you encounter on a regular basis, and we're told it must take on you. Thank you for showing up every day, for your courage, commitment, and honor. Received from a resident regarding Officer Arnold, Simsbury Ambulance. The resident recently required assistance in both Officer Arnold and the Simsbury Ambulance were dispatched. The resident stated that he received quality care from friendly and professional representatives. They could not ask for more. Received from resident regarding Sergeant Russell. The resident had an employee that was concerned for their safety. They reached out to the police department and met with Sergeant Russell. He was the kindest, most compassionate officer. He calmly listened to the entire situation. Officer Russell made the concerned party feel safe and listened to and was able to arrive at a safe solution for them. He was extremely helpful and professional throughout the entire interaction. Received from Chief of Berlin Police Department regarding Lieutenant Christian. Lieutenant Christian was recently a member of an oral panel for a sergeant selection for the town of Berlin. Chief McNally expressed that Lieutenant Christian displayed knowledge of the job and professionalism that added to the credibility and thoroughness of this panel. Lieutenant Christian is a credit to your department. End of summary plans.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the approval of the December 4th, 2023 minutes. Has everyone received the minutes and had an opportunity to look at them?
Yes.
All right, in that case,
I'd make a motion
do I have a second?
to approve the minutes.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor of approving the Police Commission regular meeting minutes of December 4th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Chairperson's report. I don't have much. We have a meeting on January 22nd with the Board of Selectmen to present our budget. I did send you guys a draft of our budget priorities this morning. I apologize for not getting it out sooner. So when you have a chance, please take a look at that and any suggestions or so forth. Otherwise, once I finalize it, I need to get it to the town so that they have it in time for our January 22nd meeting.
That's
That's what that is. That's really the only thing I have to report. So now I will turn it over to the chief for his report.
Okay, thank you. In mid-November, we reassigned one of our detectives to assist with the patrol function due to staffing levels. We're continuously assessing the allocation of personnel to support services and staffing requirements and needs. That officer is still out on patrol, and we expect that he likely will be through this next bid as well. But we're constantly assessing that. We've not been able to reassign our traffic officer back to traffic either, so both of them have been helping out with our patrol function. Our newest officer, Jared Emerzian, is halfway through the police academy right now, and he's doing very well, so we anticipate another 3 months or so he will return to us, and then he'll start his field training and evaluation program. Several months later, he'll then be out on his own, and that should ease up some of this, as well as potentially getting back one or two of the people who have been out on long-term leave.
Do you have a date for that graduation?
I don't right now. Lieutenant Greg Samselsky graduated in session 288 of the FBI National Academy on December 7th, 2023. He attended the academy for 11 weeks, where he focused his studies on contemporary policing issues, wellness and personnel topics, managing forensic investigations, critical incident leadership and legal issues. And only 1% of law enforcement have this great opportunity. We collected toys for children this holiday season through the Stuffer Cruiser program. It was up at Tractor Supply again this year. It was staffed by our officers, cadets, and volunteers. Some of the toys were held aside for Simsbury families, while most were donated to the Salvation Army. Thank you to Neckers and to Tractor Supply for supporting this program once again. We also participated in the Shop with a Cop program, where members of the department met Simsbury family members at Walmart, and they were able to shop with the kids, where the kids actually picked out presents for themselves. It's something that we've done for several years. It's been all throughout Capital Region. It just happens to be at Walmart this year, and I believe last year as well. The town fared well overall during this last storm. There was one road closure that you may have been aware of, Riverside Road South, and then some intermittent roadway hazards where some trees had either fallen down, or wires came down, or low-hanging branches, things like that.
Which storm are we talking about?
Aspen.
The snowstorm we just had yesterday?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yep.
There was another storm, right? With the flooding where roads were closed?
Flooding.
Okay,
Yep.
just trying to get them straight.
Yep. The one that's most recently on our mind.
Not tomorrow's.
Not tomorrow's, right? There were 2 reported crashes during the storm. Each were considered minor because there were no injuries involved in those accidents. We recently put 2 posts up, both today, one maybe around 1 o'clock, maybe one around 3 o'clock, in relation to safety tips and things we should do when it does snow, such as clearing sidewalks, clearing your windshield, and things like that. So look to our Facebook page for those postings. We are wrapping up some of the year-end statistics, and for instance, I'll talk about motor vehicle thefts. They continue to be an issue for us. In fact, we saw the largest number of car thefts this past year than we've ever seen. We had a total of 33. That was a 150% increase from 2022. And if you recall, 2021 was a very high number year as well, and then it dropped drastically last year and then picked up again this year. But some of the interesting facts about those car thefts were that Honda and Hyundai were the most common vehicles stolen in town, accounting for 10 of the 33 stolen vehicles, then followed by Acura and BMW, which had 4 and 3 respectively. Most of the stolen vehicles, 12 out of 30 that were recovered, were in Hartford. Otherwise, they were in Springfield. There was 1, New Britain maybe had 2, Waterbury had 1, Avon. We found a car in Avon that was stolen from our town, but most were, a good portion were out of Hartford. As we get closer to the budget presentation time, I will review and compile some more statistics and share that with the commission. It appears as if we were not awarded the COPS grant that we applied for, which was the grant that would help us cover the cost of an officer over a 3-year period. It is a little bit questionable, but what they did was they posted 2 award winners in the state, and it wasn't us. So we haven't received any word that we were not awarded it, but there were 2 on there, and either one were us. And that's all I have to report.
You reminded me, I went to the skate and share that Santa was there. Don't want to ruin any surprises, but it was a nice event, and you could bring a canned good and then a skate, and there was a good turnout. It was a nice event. Just want to toss that out there. And I also have a question about the car thefts.
Yeah.
Of the 33, how many were unlocked?
Almost all of them. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult because somebody may say that their car was locked, but then there's no evidence that the car was broken or damaged getting into it. So it's somewhat questionable at times. But almost all of the cars are either unlocked with the keys or the key fobs within the cars. So we're still seeing that as being the predominant factor in all of these steps.
Any other questions? All right. Then let us move on to our consolidated monthly report. So we've been without the traffic enforcement officer since October? November?
Technically, was the traffic.
We started the day was active, so that's when traffic went.
We just seem to have been able to do a good job traffic enforcing without our traffic enforcement officer, so kudos.
Don't say that too loud, we might get,
Oh.
I second that.
Listen. And I noticed our injured leave is up. So how many folks do we have out for a long-term, how down are we?
So, 2 for injured leave. Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry. Yep. So, he went out in early December.
yeah.
Yeah, early December. So 3. That one's hopefully not going to be a long-term.
Okay.
There's a scheduled procedure coming up, so hopefully he will return very soon.
Okay.
2 that have been very, very long-term. One that has been out a month or so, close to a month. And then we also have somebody on modified duty as well.
4 long-term-ish.
Long-term-ish, yeah, greater than 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yep.
And then 1 unmodified duty. And then 3 vacancies.
3 vacancies, 1 in the academy. So at any time, we're down 17.
Okay. And so we pulled the detective to put him on patrol. We pulled the traffic enforcement officer to put him on patrol. Correct. Is it likely we'll have to pull anybody else to put him on patrol?
Constantly assessing it,
Okay.
because it's going to depend on a bunch of different factors. Let's look at the amount of overtime, the toll that takes on the officers, any other potential leave, whether it's contractual, vacation leave, sick leave, a bunch of different factors. Which we will then pull also back to the detective division if we need personnel in there.
Anybody else have questions about the consolidated monthly?
That observation or two.
It is.
Criminal activity year over year went up substantially, just according to the statistics. Like from 136 in 22 to 189 in 23, which is a pretty large increase. I suspect that a portion of that is the stolen cars that has gone up. I just wonder if there's any other. It's larceny seems to be most of it, motor vehicle theft. But any comments as to why that? I mean, that's almost a 20%, 15% increase.
I think it's probably, it's like you identified, it was a combination of the motor vehicle theft and the larcenies. And the larcenies, what we've been finding is that especially some of the bigger stores, or the shopliftings at like grocery stores, but if some of the electronic stores and the Best Buy and things like that. I mean, they'll find some, they'll identify a theft, and then when they review that theft, looking for the evidence, they find other thefts, and so when the officer gets there, they'll hand them, five more. So it's really just, I want to say how observant their store is in reporting it is in a large sense as far as how many cases that we're getting, whereas whether or not they report it or not. So it's
And motor vehicle accidents were down, which is kind of interesting because the amount of miles patrolled was down significantly during the year. And so you'd almost think that, well, if the miles on patrol are down, that people might be sneaking around a little faster, a little crazier things. But not the case, so that's good. That's good. overtime was up substantially. Which can, is always a concern. Does that look like it's still gonna be the case?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we are projected to be in about the same situation we were last year, about $100,000 over budget. There's very little that I would call sort of selective overtime that we are doing. And I'll give you for instance, as we approach this first storm of the year, we had officers out on some of the roads providing additional traffic enforcement efforts, try to slow some people down in areas where we've had some significant accidents in the past that are troublesome, especially during the snowstorms. So we ended up spending some overtime on that. And then some of our events like the Stuffer Cruiser. We have to pay the officers to be there. School Resource Officer Program, we're in our second year of filling that slot as a spot that we do not want to go unmanned. So we are in that same boat we are as last year with our vacancies and the overtime.
Is that, I suppose it'd be an overstatement to say that's directly related to staffing issues, but maybe not.
Yeah, it's not directly related. It's definitely, right now, a large portion of it is because we have most of our time off that we have to fill in the patrol functions due to vacation leave or sick leave. And if we had greater numbers filled, we didn't have the 3 vacancies and the other personnel who've been out long-term, those numbers would be there to help support the minimum staffing numbers.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Then on to the incident statistics report. Any questions or? Questions, concerns? I had it just not related to this, but my brain went down a, would a self-inflicted gunshot, what would that be listed as? Would it be on here?
Well, it could be listed as a medical as needed.
Okay,
If there was some criminal aspect to it, then it could be labeled as that. So this system only allows us to categorize by one category.
right,
So if you have a family violence offense, and within that offense you also have some possession of illegal drugs, and you have something else like motor vehicle related, this is only going to pull up like whatever is chosen. And people normally choose like the more sort of significant event or category, and then all the other things are documented, but documented different ways. Whether it's a checkbox or a charge or another form that has to be filled out.
This is something we need to know. Okay. Just curious.
Doug's thinking, I know it shocks you. The year-to-date budget, I need just a second to look at it, I apologize. But if anyone else has any questions, go ahead and shoot before I get there. So the glitch with the overtime was only in the dispatch budget, not in all of them, correct?
I'm sorry, what?
Look at the dispatch
Okay. There was a
budget.
glitch in the overtime and dispatch, where they pulled everything from training instead of splitting it appropriately. So it looks like they were trained out the wazoo, which wouldn't be a bad thing in general. Training is good. I don't have any questions. Y'all have any questions, concerns? You good, Keisha?
Yeah, good.
All right. Moving on to new business, the election of the chair and clerk for next year. Sadly sorry, that was me. I got a little aggressive with the table. Sadly for Travis, he's not here. However, I did talk to him, and he assures me he is ready and willing to serve as chair. Historically, the way that the chairperson position has been decided, it's rolled through to keep it nonpartisan, the Republican, the Democrat, the unaffiliated. Prior to my tenure, it was a Democrat, and then I took over for the last 3.5-ish years. So now it is the senior Republican's turn, which is Travis. So that is how it kind of goes. The clerk position, they don't have a lot of work per se that I'm aware of. They traditionally read the correspondence, and that goes then to the next person who would be in line. So in this case, unaffiliated, then Republicans, then Democrats. So Tanisha is agreed to take on the position of clerk.
Yes, I did.
So-
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that is the background. Any questions or thoughts or concerns? Any? All right, and then,
These are one-year terms,
correct.
but traditionally it's rolled over.
Yes, it's normally
Right.
1 year, and then the next year we just say. Yeah. Okay,
So, looking for nomination?
I am looking for a nomination.
Well, I would like to place a nomination in the name of Travis Schweitzer as our next chair, and Tanisha Grant as our next clerk.
All right, do I have a second for that nomination?
Second.
All right, all in favor of appointing Travis Schweitzer as the next chair and Tanisha Grant as our next clerk, say aye.
Aye.
Woo-hoo.
Okay.
Some quick new business. All right, old business. Anyone have anything they need to think of? Oh, hit me.
I have one.
Oh,
So we had tried a couple different times to increase some of the hours in records.
yes.
With for our part-time
Yep.
records clerk. So we were able to do that. So we worked with the town and the records union and pulled together that the part-time clerk can work up to an additional 10 hours per week for the remainder of this fiscal year.
Okay.
So that should help us try to get in a little bit of a better place. But, you know,
Every little bit helps.
every little bit helps, yep. She is more than willing to put in those hours, and the work is most definitely there.
This was the same position that we tried for the last 2 years to get the,
Yeah, we tried to get an extra hour a day.
yep, and that
So
was.
now we were able to get
Okay.
1 to 2 hours per day. That went into effect, I think it was the 2nd, maybe 3rd of January.
It's like, what month are we talking about? I'm still lost on the snowstorms. I didn't know there was one tomorrow. Okay. Any other,
You were really out of it. It's supposed to rain tomorrow.
that's not a storm.
It's gonna be 60 degrees tomorrow night.
That's ridiculous. That's global warming. We can have a whole debate at a different time about that.
Windy, right?
Windy. 60 miles an hour and 60 degrees.
60 or 16?
60 miles an hour wind and 60 degrees.
Okay. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
2 to 4 inches of rain.
Well, that's also ridiculous. In any event, moving on, any other business, old, new, hit me with what you got. All right.
You mentioned the budget meeting coming up?
Yes, on January 22nd.
Yeah. With the selectmen.
Correct.
You know, I've had questions asked every now and then about why is that? You know, why doesn't every board and commission have a separate meeting with the board of selectmen before things get passed on? And I think just as a little history, you know, when the Charter Revision Commission, I forget when it was, not many years ago, decided that we would try the town manager form of government here in Simsbury. There were some concerns issued by a number of folks about perhaps the loss of citizen participation with decision-making. And the budget process was laid out, and budgets would be submitted to the town manager's office for the input of the town manager, and then trimmed, whatever, then presented to the board of selectmen, as we call it. There was a concern that the flavor and the input of the public would be lost a bit in that process. And since this commission had been formed specifically to be interacting with the public and the town, the decision makers, the board of selectmen, it was agreed at the time, and the charter still provides that we would present our budget first to the selectmen, to the board of selectmen, so that they understood why we were proposing things that we were proposing, and before it went to the town manager, so that if there was any questions in that process between the town manager's office and the selectmen would understand why we had proposed what we did. And so that step is still in place, and that's why we did that. So it doesn't get necessarily trimmed by a flat professional manager, but still it's direct citizen input into the budget. That's why we get stuck with doing it twice, so to speak. But there's a very good reason, I think, so you know, it's worked out well. But that's why we do it.
This is your first budget.
Yes, I came in the tail end of the last one.
Okay.
So I just wanted to.
No, good call.
Interesting. And we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Any other input?
I have none.
All right. And
I move to adjourn.
Oh, move to adjourn?
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I adjourn the meeting at 5:29 PM.